Right, welcome everybody. Let's get started here. Let's open up the news. No news today, at least nothing I'm worried about, which is not always a good thing. Sometimes when there's no news, it makes for bad trading, but we'll see what happens. We're also getting into summer hours. I know today was the first day of summer camp for my kids. So we're in summer hours. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Also, if I'm looking at the movement on the ES for this morning so far, very small range. That is not a good indication, but things always change. The market gives something new. Let's take a look at the rest of the week to see if there's anything we need to worry about. Got the 10-year bond auction on Tuesday. That's normally pretty big and important. In fact, affects the yield curve. See what else we have. Euro meetings on Wednesday. Fed funds rate. So Wednesday is not going to be a great day, I don't think. So we'll probably be extra conservative Wednesday, Tuesday, depending on how the market opens. We may be also a little conservative. Page is normal speaking from Treasury, FOMC, 30-year bond. Okay. Have a monetary policy statement. And this is going to be an interesting week. Potentially summer hours and also some pretty heavy news events, I think, that impact more than just their news time frame. So we may be a little more conservative. let's take a quick recap. Go over to my site. I just posted an update yesterday. I hadn't given an update in about a month, but there's been some pretty big changes in the prop trading landscape. So let's just talk about everything all at once. So we're going to go over Apex, Bullnox, Lilu, and Precision, and then there's one other I'm going to tag on that I didn't put into this one, so I really hadn't talked about it previously. So Apex, I just scroll, first off, Apex, lots of emotions around what's happening at Apex right now. So if you're going to engage with people around what's happening with Apex, please be respectful to everybody involved. One of the things that I feel is just sad right now is that other traders are going after other traders for trading differently than them, and I feel like the more we can help each other out, we can encourage each other, the better we all are at the end of the day. So just keep in mind, your trading strategy may be very different than my trading strategy, and my trading strategy may not work for the other person, and vice versa. So keep that in mind. Also, Apex they're trying to make money, right? At the end of the day, they need to make money. And so these changes most likely help protect their stakeholders, right? Their financial stakeholders, because they were being hit with a lot of different type of fraud schemes. And this is one of the ways they thought would help resolve that issue. So before we get too much more into this, the first thing that you have to ask yourself when looking at some of these Apex changes is, what is a rule? At the core, what do we consider a rule? I would say a rule is something that we intend to and do consistently enforce. So you can have something in a contract, right? A contract term could say, don't do this, but I enforce it in a completely different way. Well, that rule is how I enforce it. It's not what's in the agreement. So I think you have to separate those two when looking at some of these changes or clarifications, or however you want to categorize it and call it. So the first is the DCA. So in their PA agreement, always, I went back to all my old PA agreements. I have several with them. DCA was always disallowed. You were never allowed to do it per the PA agreement, per the website. You were never allowed to do it. Now, from what I remember in their YouTube videos, and so this is all from memory, I didn't go back and try to find it, is that you could DCA if you were following a system. Now, if you were doing DCA to try to take advantage of Apex, yeah, they're going to deny your payouts. They may even close your accounts. But you were generally allowed to do it if you weren't taking advantage of Apex, even though the PA agreement and the website said you could not do these things. They were still allowable. Now, they may have a different messaging, but that's what I remember the messaging being from Apex. So maybe my memory is wrong, but I can tell you I traded very successfully with Apex for a good period of time where I had only DCA strategies. I was never trying to take advantage of them. I never went long and short on the NQ trying to get windfall trades at any of that. I had a very rigid system that I traded across all my accounts. And I never had an issue with any sort of payouts or anything. If I ran into issues, it was very easy to get it resolved. So I personally never, ever had an issue with Apex related to DCA. It's changed. So now DCA, well, originally, so back up here. Apex first came out with, here's some clarifications and or changes, however you want to categorize it. And then they had a bunch of YouTube videos. Then they had a survey. Then I think they tweaked and changed some things a little bit. So I'm going to talk from when it initially first came out. The reactions was very, very interesting, especially in Discord. And I would say from both sides, from the Apex side and also from the traders. Now, I don't think either groups handled it the best way they possibly could have. So originally when the DCA rule came out, it was you could DCA into a negative P&L position one time at a quantity of your original entry. So if you had an original entry of one quantity, you could then DCA to a negative P&L one time. Now you could DCA into a positive P&L as many times as you wanted to. That thing I think has since changed, and now that additional DCA into a negative P&L, there's no quantity requirement around that, which I think that's from all the feedback they received, which is a good thing. They're listening to people. I'll give Apex credit. They do listen to the traders. There was one time they were trying to implement the minimum withdrawal threshold, and they got a huge amount of pushback. I think within 24 hours they rolled that back. So they do try to listen to traders, and they are trying to do what's best for both involved. The second is the risk to reward ratios. I'm gonna just scroll down to the actual first real quote and messaging around this. This has also since changed a little bit. It was pretty strict. And if you just look at what I kind of highlight right here, the rules are simple. The stop loss can't be more than 3 times the target, but it can be smaller, like 1-to-1 or whatever else your strategy requires. So that's very, very strict. If you look at their PA agreements, you looked at their old PA agreements, you look at the old website, they always had risk management. They always wanted people who had good risk management. But the way it was worded, it was up to every trader to interpret what good risk management was. And so obviously that's going to be different for every single person. So like myself, when I run a DCA strategy, I back tested on at least a year, and I'm trying to not hit my max drawdown. And honestly, I want to see a win on every single position. So for me, risk management is going to look very, very different than someone who is trading like an ICT concept or something like that. They've since changed that. So if you scroll back up, they changed it. They loosened it up quite a bit. So risk reward ratio is between 3 to 4 times the amount of potential targeted profits. But if you go above that, they'll still review it and you may not have any issues. So they've loosened up the wording around this risk to reward significantly. It probably should have been more along the lines of this original one when it first came out. So there's probably just they should have taken a little longer to get the messaging right up front. Go to their website because there's a whole bunch of information that they've added for both of these rules to really clarify what they mean practically for traders. This is just an abbreviated version. So what this means for me, it's kind of sad. I was kind of in a weird place when this happened, because when all these changes happened, I was about to qualify 20 50K accounts. I ended up qualifying them, but I can't change those strategies to work with their new rules. So it doesn't make sense for me to continue along with Apex unless things change. So I've personally spent over 20K with Apex. I've withdrawn more than that, so I'm still net positive with them over all my different PAs. I've gone live with them, but it hurt because I had 20 eval accounts that were near qualification. I then qualified, and then I had to make the decision. I can't keep trading with them because it's not going to work, and I don't want to risk putting in all the time, effort, money, etc. to get denied a payout when these DCA rules are very, very clear, which is fine. Apex is a company, they need to do what's best for them. Completely understand it. The good thing is there's other options out there that I can switch to, and I am switching to. But during that time, Apex is the company I've been with the longest. I've withdrawn the longest. I probably have the best relationships with different people at Apex. And then being that close to having another 20 accounts with systems that were really, really working well, obviously, that was a kick in the gut for me. So feeling better. We're back at it. We're going to move on. If Apex decides to change their mind in the future, great, we'll reconsider. I'd probably go back, but you know, who knows what's going to happen? It may never change. Maybe they get more strict, maybe they don't. Time will tell. So what I did is I opened up 3 50K Bullnox accounts, and I did 3 because with Bullnox you have to qualify your evals in a certain way. You can qualify 11 of them if you want to immediately, but you can only take 3 from eval to master account. And then once you reach the minimum required drawdown for those accounts, I forget if it's the first account or all 3, then you can add 1 more. Then you take that account and you get it to the minimum, and then you can do the next one. So I'm just going to go with 3 for now. And then as I get close to hitting that minimum amount, then I'll try for another eval account, and I'll keep doing it that way. So right now let me pull up, I have the numbers on my other computer. For 1 account, I'm at 52,045. Actually, 2 accounts, I'm at 52,045. And the 3rd account, I'm at 52,255 with 1 trading day. So hopefully those accounts will be qualified before the end of this week. I just need another $800 to $1,000 in profit. In the time of my last post to this post, Lilu ran like a whole bunch of promotion. They were probably trying to take advantage of what was happening at Apex. But one of their discounts was on 25K bundle accounts. So like you buy 1 and then you get anywhere from 3 to 10 accounts to try to qualify one for that 1 account. Now only one of those 3 to 10 can qualify for a PA account. I bought 10 bundles and I qualified all 10 of those. Normally I don't do 25K accounts because there's only 3 contracts, which could be interesting with how I DCA, but with these I'm trading very specifically, and then I'm also using a high level of discretion on which setups I actually take. So I have 10 25K accounts waiting to be activated, so PA accounts waiting to be activated. They've implemented this cool new thing where you don't have to activate it right away, so I'm going to focus on precision, which I'll touch on next, and then once I'm done that, I'm going to activate my Lilu accounts and then start trading them. So if we come back down to precision, I think precision is a up and coming. I think they have the ability to overtake some of the others out there right now just based on the rules. I don't know if people remember when Apex first came out, but I think they're close to when Apex first came out. Their rules, the website is kind of similar. It looks like a startup, it feels like a startup, it's a small community right now. So they're offering a lot of 90% discounts. You can use the code NDT90 to get a 90% discount. I have 26 accounts right now, which I did on accident. I was just trying to do 25. You can have 25 accounts with precision. Because everything's not automated yet, I accidentally signed up for 26 instead of 25. So we'll figure out what that means once I get to that point, which hopefully I get to that point and figure out what that means. But in any case, I'm almost at 77K, which is almost halfway. I have to get 4,250 in profit because these are 75K accounts. I think my rebill is somewhere between the 20th and the end of the month. So the goal is going to be to see if we can qualify these accounts before the end of the month. And they all look very similar in account balances, except these bottom several. These bottom several, I'm trading 2 different ways. One, I'm trading my normal way with all the rest of them, but I'm also trading these a little bit more aggressively. And what happened on Friday was I set up my Replicano wrong. And so as I was entering these trades, which would have ended up working, Replicano kept closing them for a small loss. I think I lost like $150 on those bottom few accounts on Friday because I had Replicano set up. I have it set up right now. I just have to remember to go in and click a button before I trade those specific accounts more aggressively. And also, I want to take a quick note and say, if you have a strategy that you know works, but it's not automated, come over to here, chance to have your strategy coded for free. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. It goes over the framework. I've developed a framework over, I don't know, several years that works really well with Rhythmic. I coded it specifically so it would work with Rhythmic, because Rhythmic, there's no guarantee that certain things happen in a specific order. So when your orders update or when a position updates, those events that get fired to the NinjaTrader strategy, there's no guarantee that they happen in any given event. So you have to code your strategy framework in a very specific way to make sure you don't run into that issue. Now, I've tried to help a lot of people in the past, and so I have some just requirements here. Like, I've had people that are like, hey, I have this system, when they start out, I have this great system that's awesome. They don't have any of the indicators. They've never actually tested the system. They got this idea from a forum, or like, hey, this is great, can you code it? And I'm looking at them like, you haven't done anything. You just want a free like strategy based off something that you found on the web, which is great. I'm just not going to do that for free. I want someone who's put in at least some effort to look back 90 days and say, yes, this is profitable. This is generally what the profit is, what the drawdowns are, and whatnot. So that's really the biggest requirement, is that you've at least put in some effort to try to manually test the strategy. If you've done that and you can provide it, and then also you have the rights to the indicators, because I don't have all third-party indicators. I'm not going to go out there and buy third-party indicators. Then just fill out the form. It's long, yes, but you get a free strategy out of it on a framework, which if you probably went out there right now and got someone to code it, I mean, you're probably looking at anywhere between $500 and $1,500 for just a relatively simple strategy being coded, because the framework can do a lot of different things. So just fill that out, and I'll get back to you. I can't guarantee I'll get back to you in 24 or 48 hours, but nonetheless, I will get back to you. Let's try to get in tune with the market, see what's going on. We're at this 19,000 level again. We're right near there, near the open on Friday. Range isn't great. ES is somewhat mixed. Both long terms are down. The long term, which is the top left chart, the long term and short term is down. The short term chart on the bottom left, the long term is down, the short term trend is up. Three-minute ES is down. You see my other charts. Three-minute NQ is down. And we're right near the low Friday. 18,992, which I don't particularly like. The ES is near 50, so the NQ is near, triple zeros, and then the ES is near 50, so we'll give this market a minute or two to see what's happening. First minute down, really no movement. We move down, might get a nice little bump around 51.75 on that Q. On my main screen that you see, I've tried to put my most important charts. So this is my main view here with these. I like to look at the ES and NQ together. I also have an aggressive setup here on the 60 range NQ. And then I have an aggressive breakout style on these two Renko charts. And then I also have two other screens hooked up to this computer that are looking at both the NQ and the ES. And then I have another computer that's set up to trade my Bull Knox accounts that's looking at the NQ and the ES and the CL. Precision does not have CL data yet. That is coming sometime in the near future. I have one setup on the CL that I watch for. That happens maybe 2-3 times a week if you're lucky. And I also have a server set up for when I trade my Lilu account. I have a dedicated server. I've had that forever, it feels like, that I'll trade Lilu on or whatever accounts I want to rotate onto that. But right now that's set up for Lilu. And then there's this new company. The market's not doing too much, so I'm not worried about missing a trade right now. There's another company that I just opened an account with, a 50K account with, that is new. And let me find their name. I always forget their name. The Legends Trading. I only found them because on, was it Big Mike's or Futures.io or Nexus Fi or whatever web address you go to get to Nexus Fi. If you're a premium member there, and I don't know how the memberships work anymore because I purchased when it was pay once in its lifetime. Then I think they went to a subscription, and then I don't know what they're doing now, but in any case, if you're a paid member there, you get a 100% discount to that company that you can use once. And so I said, what the hell, let's try it. So I signed up for a 50K account, 100% discount, and I have that on Tradevate, which I'm not a big fan of Tradevate, but I'll use it. And I'm going to trade this a little bit more aggressively. I'm going to trade it using my aggressive setups, mainly on the NQ. I traded it for the first time on Friday, and one trade went to 400. So after commission, it was what, 390 or whatever. So we have 9 more trade days and like 26.10 left in profit to get to. Definitely feels like summer hours right now. Tell everybody this: trading is boring, and it absolutely should be boring. If it's not boring, you're probably over trading. So the name of this game is take the highest probability setups that we can. And if that means I take no trades for a day, that means I didn't lose money, I'm happy. And that took me a really, really long time to get into that mindset. Trading is really, really mental. And so I've been doing this, I guess, first off, I first really started trading back when I was in college. I started trading the futures market on Thinkorswim. God, and that was probably in like 2007, 8, 9, sometime around there. Don't remember an exact date. But started on Thinkorswim, futures market, looking at stocks, getting into technical analysis. And then I got into NinjaTrader. I remember getting my first license on NinjaTrader. It was actually through a broker. The broker provided me the license when I bought it. I don't know that they do that anymore. It was a multi-broker license, and it was NinjaTrader 6.5. Shortly after I started on NinjaTrader 6.5, NinjaTrader 7 came out. And just like when 8 came out, a lot of people stayed on NinjaTrader 6.5 until some of the bugs got, fixed in NinjaTrader 7. So, typically the first couple updates are going to be like really big, things that they need to fix, completely expected. So there was a lot of delayed adoption of NinjaTrader 7. Eventually transitioned over to NinjaTrader 7, and that's really where I started learning how to code NinjaScript, how to code C#, coding indicators and strategies. I paid a good amount of money for different things to be coded. And then NinjaTrader 8 came out, and I was a slow adopter for NinjaTrader 8 because I had so many indicators and strategies that I wanted to convert over to NinjaTrader 8. That conversion process wasn't the easiest. I do have a script that's publicly out there, I didn't write it, that you can run in LinkPad that does a pretty good job, but it's not perfect. And also the strategy implementation kind of changed a little bit. So it took me a while to adopt NinjaTrader 8. But once I did, it's definitely way better than NinjaTrader 7. And the market still is not doing anything. Steel's dead, ES is dead, NQ's dead. I don't like any of these setups. If the market stays like this, I will end early and not force a trade. I've forced enough trades and lost accounts, and I'm not willing to do that anymore. But anyways, back to so I was converting a lot over to NinjaTrader 7, NinjaTrader 8. When I was developing my strategy framework, my thought process was this, because I didn't initially start with a strategy. I started with doing it as an indicator. And I was thinking, well, NinjaTrader has already went through the QC process to manage targets and stops through ATMs. Why don't I just leverage that and build something like you see on this 15-minute chart on the panels, all those buttons? I pretty much built that, but for an indicator. So that indicator linked to the account that you see on your chart trader, the quantity you see on your chart trader, the time in force, the instrument, the ATM strategy. And it could still do add-ins, it could do break-evens, it could move targets, all that stuff. Well, that didn't really work because of the rhythmic issues. So like, your execution, your on execution, your on position update, your on order update, there's no guaranteed order to that with rhythmic. And the NinjaTrader ATM didn't solve that. It actually caused me a lot of issues that various points in time, which they throw a warning up when you connect to Rhythmic, like, hey, you know, there's this issue, and you say okay to it, so it's not like it's their fault, it was my fault. But in any case, that is a real issue. So I started developing the framework, which I've rewritten a couple times. Most recently, I've rewritten it in a way where if I want to help somebody out, but I don't want to give them all the code, I can do it. So I have a base strategy framework that uses a class to do all the like intensive work. So if I distribute this to somebody where I don't want them to have all that core code, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of energy that I put into it, and I don't just want everyone to have open access to it, quite frankly. And plus, you know, people start changing things and like, why doesn't this work or whatever? Like, no, you change stuff. So what I can do is I can export that class and I can protect it, no licensing or anything like that. So you can put it on as many computers as you want. You can share it with people. You just don't have access to the source code, which is not a problem for 99.99% of people out there. But then the strategy framework itself is open source, but you'll see in it just mainly references the class. And that's open source because that way it has access to your entire NinjaTrader indicator and strategy library. Because otherwise, if I put it inside a DLL and encrypted it, all that stuff, an indicator wasn't a part of that package, you'd have to do some unique things to get access to the rest of it. So it was easier for me just to open source it. And then the strategies are open source, and you can pull a strategy. If you have the indicators developed, you have the rules developed, I can turn a strategy around sometimes in like 15 minutes. Because the framework does all that work for me. So an example, like you want to trade from 9:31 to 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and on Fridays you don't want to trade. It's in the framework. It's literally just updating those settings, and that's it. So it severely cuts down on my development time on strategies, assuming you have all the rules established. The market is bad. You see the NQ is just in this weird range right now, or the ES is in this weird range. Same with this NQ. Let's see what the double's doing. Nothing. Hoping for a little more excitement on my first day live trading, but it looks like that's not going to happen. $60 range looks bad. Looking at the 5-minute opening range, I mean, we're inside that right now on the NQ, which is never a good sign for volatility. Just to show you my rhythmic real quick, there's nothing, so I have nothing. As I trade, I'll bring up my rhythmic to show you that. I've taken out all the account numbers so no one tries to do anything funny with them, but it'll list the accounts and it's directly from Rhythmic, so you'll be able to see what the P&L is for any given day. And you see right now, no trades. But that's trading. Be smart, follow our rules. See this big up and down. Price looks bad. Maybe we're getting a little break here. See. Things still down. Yeah, nothing enticing. Not gonna force anything. Like I said earlier, summer trading, no news day. We can kind of expect this type of behavior. Hanging around this 19,000 level. The forward range ES price action, very, very mixed. Maybe if we close below 41.75, we'll start a nice little downtrend. But this grouping right here sometimes is a reversal pattern. Sometimes it's like a, hey, we're gonna do a fake pop-up and break back down. So I think just give it some time to see what's happening. When I first started trading on NinjaTrader, at least, I was really big into price action. So I spent a lot of time studying price action. Then I moved into BPA, BSA, and then I moved into order flow and market profile, volume profile, studied that, read everything I could, watched everything I possibly could. The 4-range chart was always instrumental to my ES trading. And so I'm partial to always having the ES 4-range chart because I've spent, I don't know, thousands of hours watching the ES on the 4-range chart. If it gets slow, sometimes the 3-range chart can work well on the ES, but I don't go that low anymore. I mean, 4 is fast on the ES when it's moving. Outside of that, maybe I'll look at a 8-range chart or a 13-range chart if it's moving quickly. But generally now it's just the 4-range, and then I have some other Renko style charts on the ES that I look at. The NQ, I really like Renko charts and I like minute charts. And I just started looking at these style Renko charts here, which I really am enjoying the larger time frame on the NQ and throwing like a super trend on it. It actually gives pretty good trend directions. day in and day out. Again, on days like this where the market's low, trading is gonna be boring. The new 5-minute bar on the NQ. See if something happens here. Trying to figure out if it wants to go above 19,000 or stay below it. Just really can't decide. You see these bars here on the ES? As it was coming down, right, the wicks stayed the same, and it was a 1-tick body. Then you had this nice little engulfment with a 1-tick tail. That's normally a pretty good short-term price action signal. But because you came up and it was all chop, you had a red down bar here with 1 tick at the top, and then the next red down bar was 1 tick at the top, so it didn't lose its strength. And then you get this other one that's really strong at the top. That's normally good, right? So it maintained its strength from here to here, and then it got stronger. And then as it came down, it maintained some sort of like, hey, we're trying to go up. So it's like we got strong on our downs as we were going up, but then as we had this little pullback here, it had no real strength going down. The strength was really to the upside because of the wicks. And then you get a nice little engulfment, and you can see it's moving back up. That's something maybe to look for if you're looking at a 4-range ES chart. but I would love to see on the NQ. I would love to see it break up to above 38.25, and then I would love to see it swing back down. If it did that, I will be shorting it. Otherwise, if it keeps continuing up, I could see the NQ go into 56. Yes, I could see going to 60. NQ, if it goes up, continues to go up after if it breaks out, I can see a nice little bump at 68. But it's still hovering around that 19,000, so who knows what it's going to do. You look at this here on the NQ. If my shorter term trend was down, I probably would have gotten short on this bar right here. It's not a perfect setup, but if this was down because we're right near that 19,000, that's a big if. You had a relatively strong up bar, it got less strong, and then this bar, it was close to engulfing. It didn't quite engulf, but because we were near that 19,000, I probably would have gotten short there if this shorter term green region was a downtrend. That's kind of what I'm looking for on the 60 range right now. And again, this is an aggressive experimental chart. We'll be back in about 10-15 minutes, but I'll be watching the charts. I have to take a quick phone call. Right, I am back, and market's not doing too much. The NQ looks like it's trying to stay above that 19,000 level, but again, all my charts are still relatively down, so need to make sure there's conviction on anything before I trade this NQ move, even though it's moving nicely. But it's kind of moving also towards a local high around 39.40. So we'll see what happens when it gets up there. But yeah, 60 range, long term still down. On the double, both are still down. So we're just gonna take our time. We're gonna wait for a setup. I don't need to trade every movement in the market. I just want to trade the right setup at the right time and not blow any of my accounts. New 5-minute bar, and depending on what this bar does, no, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This bar closes up. That'll be 4 5-minute bars that would close up. So I won't trade that. Otherwise, I would trade it if this 5-minute bar closed up. I just don't like trading too many consecutive 5-minute bars. So if this NQ 5-minute bar closes up, we'll have been in up condition for 5 minutes or 20 minutes just based on the closing of the 5-minute bar. We'll have to go to a smaller time frame if we like that. May potentially look to get long around 56 on the NQ. That would be an aggressive setup. We watch the Renko charts as we move up to 56. This will be an aggressive breakout, again, for everything I just said. This would be a long-term breakout on the 3-minute if we make it up there. The comment about Precision, I agree. They have the potential to take the top spot. For a really long time, I always said that Apex was number 1, and then not even a close second was Lilu, and I think it was Bullnox, and then everybody else for one reason or another. Apex always had the best rules. The thing about Lilu that I think didn't make it as close of a second is that you could only have 10 accounts, but those 30 first days were really brutal in the PA. So you had to trade days, not just calendar days. You had to trade and still have to trade 30 days before you can get your first withdrawal. And that first withdrawal happens at the end of the month, unless I think now you can pay to change that. Previously, it was 30 trade days. Hit your, minimum profit that you need. And then at the end of the month, you could request a withdrawal. That was always tough with Lilu. So that's why I didn't think they were necessarily that close of a second. I think Apex has dropped down. I think Precision can take that spot. You have, instead of 20 accounts, you have 25 accounts. And then you get to keep the first 50K. I got to keep my first 25K with Apex. I'm hoping to be the first person to keep the first 50K on Precision. That's the goal. I kept the first, was it on Lilu, 10K? I hit that. So on Lilu and Apex, I've hit that first, whatever you get to keep. And sometimes people get this confused. It is not per account. It is in total. So if you have 20 accounts and you say that you keep the first 10 or 25K or whatever it is, it's across all the accounts collectively. So if you withdraw 10K, 1K for each account, and it's a 10K you keep, you just hit that with your first withdrawal. So in Lilu, let's say I had never had a Lilu account before. I have those 10 PAs waiting to be activated, and I withdrew 1K for each of those, and you get to keep the first 10K. I would hit that 10K because I withdrew 1K from each of those 10 accounts. It's not 10K per account. So my goal is to do that on Precision, and hopefully I'll be the first person to do it. But even if I'm not, I'd be happy to hit the first 50K and keep that. Because after that, it's a 50% split. But after you get that first 50K, you're going to be feeling really good. And a 50K split across 25 accounts, I mean, you know, it's not that bad. I personally don't. Because once you get past the 50K, I'd have a buffer for my recurring payments. If I failed all the PAs, I'd have a buffer to rebuy some evals. I'd have some money in my pocket. So then anything after that is just, you know, consistent monthly income. And if you're pulling out, you know, 2K a month per account, you're pulling out 50K, 50% split, 25K. Who's going to argue with 25K when you have almost no capital at risk? And then, you know, I don't know how this works. And I would hope that once you go to a live environment, there'd be a little room to either one, negotiate that split, or trade a different contract size. So like when I went live with Apex, it was, I forget, it was every so many days I could say, hey, look at my track record. I'm trading really well. I want to trade more contracts. I imagine, I don't know this is just a wild guess on my part, is that there's probably something like that with Precision. Hopefully I'll find out. But going live, typically, well, in these companies, you get a little bit more leeway because you're trading real money. There's no like trade copying unless they're trade copying your trades to additional accounts or additional money. What I found when I was trading live, which isn't interesting because you wouldn't necessarily think this, but when I was trading a live account with Apex, my fills were better than in Sim, which doesn't necessarily make sense. You would think maybe you get better fills in Sim. No, I was getting better fills on the live. And I say that because I talk with different people as I'm trading, and sometimes I'll share certain systems or setups with people. And so this individual was trading the same setup that I was trading. I was trading live and they were trading Sim. I got a really good fill and they didn't get filled at all. And that's 100% due to trading live versus the Sim. I'm not saying that's always going to happen, but it happened enough times that I was getting better fills. All right, ES is kind of going through this weird transition zone. You see my balance point up here. There's a range in this balance point of once you get into it, I define it as a chop. That's why at the top of my this chart, you see some red and you see some gray. And if you go back far enough, you may see some, well, I don't have enough data on it. So it would be also blue if it went above the balance by a certain distance. So right now we're kind of getting to that chop zone on ES, plus you're kind of getting to this like really weird peak area over here. So we'll see if the NQ can pull the ES up through all of this. There's a lot of short-term trends on the NQ turning up across all my different charts. On my Bullnox account, I took a quick scalp on the NQ for about $50, $45, $50, all said and done, which was I think the market's going one direction. I want to trade it. Plus also I want to get my trading day. So if I have a really large trade, say tomorrow on Bullnox, then that would be my third day, because today is my second day. Friday was my first. Let's see if the NQ makes it to 56 and how it moves to 56 in relation also to the ES. I'll throw this out there as well. If you are only trading the NQ, only trading the ES, or trading more than just the NQ and ES, and you're not consistent, I would suggest only focusing on looking at the NQ and the ES, and maybe just trading one of those two markets, but look at them together. I say that because sometimes you can see the markets moving together, sometimes you see them diverging, and if they're diverging, you probably don't want to take a trade on either of those two. Or if both of the trends are the exact same on both the ES and the NQ, and price action is generally trending towards the same direction, it's moving kind of quickly and swiftly in one way, or you're in like a first or second pullback of a move, that's going to give you a little bit more confidence to take that trade. But get really good at trading one of those two markets before you add another or another. And another reason why I say is looking at the ES and the NQ together is because they're very, very highly correlated. They're not 100% correlated, but it's like 90, 95+% correlated. And so sometimes what you'll see is you'll get situations where the NQ leads the ES, and sometimes the ES leads the NQ. And so if you watch it enough, sometimes you may say, hey, I consistently see in this scenario the ES leading the NQ based on the indicators that you have on your chart, and I'm going to start trading those conditions. That has helped me stay out of a lot of trades, and it also has helped me take a lot of good trades throughout the years. Some people like looking at the YM. I would stick with the ES and the NQ to start with. Once you get really comfortable and confident with that, then you could add on. You could add on either a correlated market like the YM. I don't know the correlation. Or you could add on a market that's not as correlated like the CL. But if you add a market, make sure you stay super laser focused on what made you successful on the ES or the NQ, and not then just fully devote, your time looking at that additional market. Anyways, that's where I've seen a lot of people go wrong over the years. So hopefully that helps. It's like the NQ is taking a little rest here, which is good. Hopefully it'll take a nice rest and then pop up and go to 75. I'd like to see it hit 91, but at this rate, it'll never hit it. At least not while I'm trading. And I just want to point out that trading should be boring most of the time. If you're trading and you find yourself looking for that fix, that excitement, that volatility, you're probably not in the right mind space to be making thought out, consistent decisions. And so yes, a lot of my trading is going to be boring because we are just trying to win or not lose money. We're really trying to not lose money is what we're trying to do. So we're either going to be 0 trades or hopefully 1 or more winning trade. But we're going to wait for that setup and take advantage of the situation when it presents itself. That is probably actually one of the biggest things that I've talked with a lot of people over the years, just through different trading forums, communities, or what have you. And people are impatient. People are very, very impatient, which I went through that phase. I lost a lot of money going through that phase. Sometimes I kick myself because I'd probably have a multi-million-dollar trading account right now if I was more patient, you know, back when I first started trading. But I wasn't, and here I am. But I've tried to learn from what hasn't worked for me in the past, adjust going forward, and sometimes it's really, really difficult. Sometimes you can't just help yourself, and you just make the same mistakes over and over again, which I am definitely guilty of. So we're going to try to be very, very disciplined. This live trading is going to hopefully help me keep that discipline. And again, I want to be the first person to get to that 50K at Precision. If I don't get it set up by 11 o'clock, I'm going to call it there. Normally, I don't like trading after 11. After 11, you get into people start to take lunches. At some of these places, when people take lunches, they have their junior traders taken over. You know, right now, with it being a no news day, it being summer hours, lunchtime, I'm not going to sit around for the rest of the day and watch the market. I'll just regroup tomorrow morning and get back at it. There's one thing that would keep me on right now. If this market sold off, I'm selling at 86.75 right here. That would keep me on. Or if, you know, the market popped up and hit my 56 order. But barring those two things, I think we're going to call it at 11. See, is this going to be it? Is a nice little setup right here. I like that. It's either going to be a breakout or it's going to be a fake out. See what the ES is doing. Still near this weird top here, which I don't like. And then once it gets above that, it's another just really crappy area, and it's right at balance. See. So it came up to 52 something, and it's kind of coming back down. I'm hoping it's just taking its breath until the next 5-minute bar opens, and it comes rocketing it up through 56. We'll see. Again, this is an aggressive setup on those couple accounts. I'm not trading every single precision account on this because this is one of the more aggressive setups right here. We're gonna move it to 52.75. This triggers, I will try to go to break even after about 5 points in profit, if we get any profit. There's our entry. Have an add in 20 points below that. Again, super aggressive. All right, let's try to figure out what it wants to do around 55. All right, I want to break even. I'm not liking how this is moving. So it's either going up or hit my stop. Yeah, it's gonna hit us. If it hits us, that'll be it. Move this up a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna make it all the way up, but want to give it a little room for it to come back quickly and swiftly and hit my stop and move against me. Yeah, so that's fine. I'm happy with those decisions that I made. Happy waiting for that setup. Happy how I move my stops, especially summer, no news, low volatility, trading after this big 15-minute bar, little kind of waiting, had another big up move and then got long. So I am happy with that. Also, you know, the ES kind of has this weird price action right here. It has this huge wick right here, which normally is not a good signal for it continuing in that direction. So I think that was a very good decision to exit. Plus our other markets here, both of these long-term still down. On the 3-minute, the NQ is just turning up. The ES is still technically down, although moving upwards. So even if the market goes to where my original target was, I think that was a smart decision to move my stop and protect any potential losses. So with that, I'm going to call it right there for the day. Yes, not the best day. So we didn't lose money. We made a little bit. We do that enough across a number of accounts. We're going to be very happy in a month or two. Anyways, appreciate everyone who joined. I'm going to be doing this every day, although Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm not going to have the ability to be on the mic, but I will be trading live. So please tune in, ask some questions, let me know what you want to see. I plan on releasing some free stuff in the future. What am I going to release? I have no idea. Don't really know what people want to see, want to use, what would be helpful. And again, if you have a good trading idea that you've at least looked at for 90 days manually, go to my website, submit the form. I know it's long, but you get a free open sourced strategy that uses my framework that I've developed for a very long time. Appreciate everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.